Hello, everybody. Craig Wessels here from a Yank on the Footy, and wanted to take just a few minutes and talk about the games from Sunday. We had a couple of very exciting games, very close matchups. I woke up in the middle of the night and saw that the Eagles were up by, I believe, 30 points on Brisbane, and thought, "Holy cow! I don't think anybody saw that one coming." And it turned out that they ran out of gas. Um, I wonder what is going to happen with Harley Reid and his single finger salute to the fans in Brisbane. Um, I know they're giving him a hard time about that, but we shall see what happens. And hat tip to the Swans for battling out there in Perth and getting the win against Fremantle as well. But the game I really wanted to talk about, and I have to say, it was an absolutely thing of Rudy. It was Roo'tiful. Okay, now if you're a D's supporter, you're not real happy about what you saw transpire, but I just think it was the perfect situation on Sunday for this club. Okay, and that is the Kangaroos basically taking Melbourne out behind the woodshed and just whooping on them. Okay, and first off, it was a great game. I'm For those of you who may not have listened to my ladder predictions this year, I did tip North Melbourne to finish eighth on the ladder this year. Okay. Of course, I also tipped Fremantle to play in the grand final, and we see how that's working out at this point in time. But keep in mind, Brisbane started out the year pathetically bad last year. And, well, both of my grand final tips lost this week, including these guys. Um, but before we talk about the game, I do want to just say how thrilled I was to learn that the club was paying tribute to the late great Barry Cheatley with the black armbands on Sunday. Um, for those of you that may not have listened to the interviews that I was fortunate enough to have with Mr. Cheatley, just an absolute gem of a man, and he was so kind and generous with his time, and I I miss trading emails with him, and I want to pass along my best wishes to his wife Barbara and his children Guy and Simone. And I'm just so glad that the club was able to pay tribute to your dad. Um, and if they hadn't, it would have been a very disappointing thing had they not done that. But I can't imagine them not having done that. That's not something that I could imagine them forgetting to do. And we end the game last night with Jack Darling having played his 300th game, and it was a very pleasant sight. And again, I've only been following the game since 2016, and I cannot recall the last time or any time, I guess, that a player from another club actually helped to chair off a player in one of their memorable games. And Jack Darling having played game 300 yesterday, the absolute bulk of them with the West Coast Eagles, of course, and his mate Andrew Gaff was there to help chair him off after the game, and I that was very cool. Okay. Um, yeah, I know Andrew Graff, went through hell for that huge mistake that he made several years ago involving young Mr. Brayshaw. But it was awesome to see him there for his dear friend. And I got to tell you, and this is a fun club to watch. And again, I've started following the game fairly recently, so I was not, and I'm not really privy other than knowing that Hawthorn had some serious success winning several premierships, four of them, if I'm not mistaken, with Alistair Clarkson at the helm. But is is there some similarity? Are we seeing some semblance of a little Hawthorn showing up in the way that the Kangaroos are playing right now? I mean, they just seem to be just go, 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 full of energy. And I said at the outset of the year that the veterans that they were bringing into the side, I was fairly convinced that they were going to help to bring about some leadership. Um, that was going to be very beneficial. And you've got some great veterans, including Luke McDonald, Cam Zurhar, with this side, but bringing in the likes of Caleb Daniel and Jack Darling. And just phenomenal efforts from this club, and I'm just really um, thrilled to see how they're going. Luke Parker has been tremendous as well, and just watching the way that they're approaching the game. And again, this is a club. They mentioned somebody who'd played like 102 games with this club, and he'd won 12 games, I think, up until yesterday or today. And it's yes, you have to get games into a club to help them gain experience, and they took their lumps from for a lot of years. And I think that it's just I think that the comp is and I've said this about Gold Coast, and I'll get to them in a moment, but I think the comp is a much better place when North Melbourne is a competitive side, and I think we can safely say they are a competitive side right now, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch this club. And if you're a North Melbourne supporter, you've got to be feeling really good about yourself, and it was a lot of fun. And Tristan Sherry had a great game against Max Gawn, and I did see that Simon Goodwin was talking about there's some things going on with Max Gawn. I'm not going to speculate; it's none of my business. But I just really enjoy watching this club play, the energy that they play with, and it's going to be a fun ride with them this year. And I think they're going to continue to improve. If I'm not mistaken, they do not hold their first round pick this year. I believe they traded it to Richmond, if I'm not mistaken. So I think it's going to be helpful to see them, continue this climb, and maybe they become a club that is able to lure in another missing piece or two that they need to add to the side that's going to come available this year, because they won't have that luxury of having that pick. So I'm just really happy for the Roos. I'm thrilled that they were able to pay homage to just an absolute great of footy in Barry Cheatley, with wearing the armbands. And before I wrap this up, and again, this is just going to be a little quick, short discussion here, I did want to also pass along my best wishes to someone here in the United States. He is an Australian expat and has lived in the state of Georgia for many years, gentleman by the name of Wayne Kraska. And Kraz has he's been an integral part of the USAFL for a quarter century plus. Okay. He led the Atlanta Kookaburras club for many years, I believe about 18 years. And then he moved a little farther to the south, I believe, and started the Rome Redbacks club from the USAFL. And Wayne was still playing the game, you know, at my age, and I'm 61 years old, and Wayne was still out there competing. Um, Wayne had a stroke this past week or a week and a half ago or so, and it sounds like his recovery is coming along. Wayne also operates the company Play Aussie USA, or it's at playaussie.com, and they help to design jumpers for clubs from the USAFL, as well as being a great source for AFL fans to get a lot of AFL gear here in the United States with reduced shipping costs as well. So Wayne, I should say I've had the opportunity to go to a couple regional tournaments over the last few years with the USAFL, and I've been able to sit and talk with Wayne while he had his mobile store available. And I got the chance to spend several hours with him chatting about footy in general and life and such. And Wayne is just an absolute pragmatic man, not afraid to mince his words, but just it has an absolute love for the game. So I want to wish Wayne the absolute best and hope that he gets well soon. The USAFL is a much better organization with him being involved. And Wayne, I can't wait to see you get back out there, whether it be playing, which would love to see that happening, but if nothing else, in a leadership capacity with your club as well. So Wayne, get well, sir. I wish you all the best. And I do want to wrap up here this little quick episode and just give a shout out to a friend of mine and congratulate her on the 50th episode of her podcast. And it's probably one you never would have thought to listen to before. But if you've got young kids or if you're just somebody that wants something that's a little different than what you may listen to, that's not a sports podcast by any stretch of the imagination. This is a lady from Tasmania by the name of Jack, and she does a show that has won numerous awards internationally, been nominated for numerous awards as well. And it's kind of an anthology series that's referred to. It's called Tales from Three Corners, and it's this quirky, wholesome show that, yeah, like I said, the 50th episode was released today, and I went out for about a 12-kilometer walk today. My wife actually texted me wondering where I was at, because I'd been gone for a couple of hours, and I told her I was still out walking. Um, I will be honest, one of the places that I tend to walk, they actually installed their their porta potty for the summer. So I was able to lengthen out my walk without having to stop off at home. So full disclosure here, I'm not going to mince any words. But Jack, I want to congratulate you for all the success that you have had. It's what I listened to start out my walk today. And what this podcast is, and I hope you'll check it out. And like I said, if you've got young kids, I think pretty much every episode that I've ever listened to are ones that your kids could listen to as well. If you happen to be in the car, you could put the podcast up on your sound system through your car and share it, with kids listening to it without any real reservations. And there may be an episode here or there that might have some, maybe some themes that may not be kid friendly, but I cannot recall any of them. And I've listened to all 50 of them. And she just does a phenomenal job with it. It's not a podcast that's going to have a new episode every single week, because she's doing quality rather than quantity. What she puts out is phenomenal. Okay, so Jack, I want to congratulate you on 50 episodes, and can't wait for the next one, whenever that happens to be. But she also works on a podcast called The Word Count, in which she and a couple of other writers talk about their writing endeavors. And Jack was kind enough to send me some beet marmalade and also some specialized salts from Tasmania here recently, along with one of her co-hosts' most recent books as well. So just absolutely a wonderful show. If you get a chance to check it out, I do encourage you to do so, because it's phenomenal. Like I said, it's not a sports podcast at all, but it's just pretty cool. So there you have it. Great win by the Roos. So happy that they paid tribute to Barry Cheatley. Big thank you and big congratulations, I should say, to Jack Darling on his 300th game. And Cats, well, got to get back off the schneid this next week. You head up to Brisbane. You saw that the Eagles could put a lead on them. If you happen to do that, you just got to hold on to it. So, folks, make sure you check out the website at ayankonthefooty.com. Hopefully, if you're on YouTube, you'll go ahead and subscribe as well. I'm up over 250 subscribers. I'd like to get to 500, because I guess that opens up some opportunities for maybe a little bit of revenue on the show as well. I'm not really all that sure how that works, but I do hope you'll subscribe. And if you happen to head over to my website, there is a quick survey that I have put up here recently, just to kind of get a pulse of what you would like to see from the podcast in the coming months. I'm working on lining up some interviews. And, well, folks, until next time, and I'll give you my tips for round 3 here coming up very soon. This is Craig Wessels from Yank on the Footy. Cheers and goodbye, and may your dribble kick never hit the post.